Conjuring House drama just got more intense, and today I am speaking to someone who is in the middle of it all, and that is Brian Dancero. And if you don't know who Brian is, he was fired by Jacqueline Nunes after being the vice president, of the Conjuring House for 5 weeks. Before being fired, I'm being accused by Jacqueline Nunes of stealing $3,000 from the cash box in the gift shop at the Conjuring House. And when Brian asked for the proof, she said that there was no proof, only that a man called John Arnold told her. But the problem is, John Arnold died in the 1800s. She's also accused Brian of psychically attacking her, and I wanted to talk to him today to just see where he's at with the whole situation, what's been going on, and what we need to know behind the scenes. So here's my chat with Brian. You know, it's just crazy. Every day, something new, you know?
Last night, she attacked Jason Hawes on her Facebook page again. There's a whole new post with Jason Hawes, ironically, our news article that we did with Channel 12 News. So it's
that's the thing, man, and it's just like, that's obviously why I wanted to chat with you, like, you know, because I saw your Facebook post about you know, just trying to spread awareness about Jacqueline, about what's been going on at the Conjuring House, and, you know, just like how she's treated real people, you know, like, because ultimately she's destroying real people's lives. Not just this has gone beyond just the Conjuring House now. This is far worse.
exactly right. And that's what I was trying to really get across. The fact that just because we're not posting things and such doesn't mean there's not so much still happening behind the scenes. And the fact that she's trying to use her podium now to do that harm.
Well, that's exactly it. You know, you're like, it's just, and what I found the best about your post was that you were saying, don't follow the page, because that gives her like that gratification. She feels like she's, and I really resonated with that, because it's like, she won't see that as people are following it just to see the crazy post that she comes out with. People are following that page just to, because in her mind, she'll be like, yes, people want to see me. People love me.
It's resonating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just empowering her to think that she's allowed to get away with what she's posting, which is utterly horrific.
Exactly. And I've noticed since she started doing all of this, since my termination, she's actually gotten 2,000 more followers.
Yeah.
Her Facebook page only had 22,000 at the initial onset when I started there and such, and now it's up to 24,000.
That's it. Yeah, I've noticed that. So obviously, you know, you worked there for, was it 5 weeks as the vice
Yeah.
president? And, you know, like, I mean, that must have been an exciting role to get into the Conjuring House.
Oh, absolutely. It was amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I looked at it like from my background, I worked at it's a notorious facility called Bridgewater State Hospital.
Right.
It's a forensic facility. So anyone in Massachusetts, when they do outrageous crimes, they get sent there to be evaluated psychologically. I ran the unit that was for the actual worst of the worst, the most actual violent offenders. I've
Wow.
actually had people that have done some horrific things. And after the heart attack, being on medications that I'm on, I was looking for an exit that was safe and affordable for me, because one blow to the head, one shank, and that would be it for me.
Mm.
That's how I ended up transitioning over to the Conjuring House.
Yeah, and like I say, that must have, I mean, were you like a paranormal enthusiast before that? Like, did you enjoy that kind of thing before going there, or?
Absolutely. I've been to other facilities and the Stanley Hotel, Fort Knox in Maine and such. And I've done a lot of paranormal investigations. And I actually got hired by Ghost Hunt USA
Wow.
uh, back in the day. And that's how I actually started at the Conjuring House. We would
Oh,
go, and I would be a host, and people would come in and actually do an overnight investigation with me.
wow.
Yeah, but when Ghost Hunt USA closed down, that's when we all transitioned, or me and Kevin Matinick anyway, transitioned over to the Conjuring house.
Yeah, I mean that makes total sense. And then obviously, like before all of this, the Conjuring house, if I got a job there, I'd be chuffed to bits because it's like this, it was probably the best location, and I use the term "was" very strongly there because I don't think it's as glorious as it was. Um, but like, I mean, the reputation's rapidly gone downhill for that place, which is such a shame because ultimately it's not the location's fault that this is happening. Although people do like to say that Jacqueline's being possessed or whatever, which I think's nonsense.
Yeah, I agree. That to me is giving someone an excuse for
Mm,
bad behavior.
100%.
And I can tell you, like when Corey and Jen owned the property, I was there. I was there with Reed, Satori, Aaron, all of us. And it was this really big, what can we to make the guest experience great? And so the grounds were manicured. They looked wonderful. And we took a lot of pride in all
Mm,
of that.
yeah.
And then Jacqueline slowly, one step at a time, since May 2022, denigrated it and started taking things away and started building. We're going to be doing camping outside and we're going to have all of these things. And it's like, and I'm not saying that I'm against that, but if you're not doing it safely, then we shouldn't be doing it at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, it does seem, Jacqueline seems like a very business minded woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. When you take over a property and you invest however much it was she bought it for, 1.5 million, I think you've got a right to kind of try and turn a profit on something like that. And, ultimately, if you can monetize it, fantastic. But it shouldn't come to the detriment of the location, the staff, or the guests.
Agreed. And you got to listen to people. Like when you look talking to content creators that are hardworking people, you know that
Yeah,
firsthand.
yeah,
How can you justify dropping down the initial $1,500 for a content creator night? Add a buddy that you want to bring because you're not going to go do an investigation alone. Another $850. On top of that, we didn't have any experiences. I don't think this place is haunted. You present that video to Jacqueline, that money that you just invested is never going to see the light of day in a video.
yeah. And that's it. I mean, it's very weird, but I've seen a lot of Google reviews and reviews on the house recently over the past kind of week, and it's something that obviously Jason Hawes mentioned a few weeks ago. But people were saying that they would. So there was one person in particular that really stood out, and they came from California to Rhode Island. I don't know how far that is. I can imagine it's probably quite a distance to travel. They paid the amount that they needed to pay to get in. They got there and they weren't able to get in, so they phoned up Jacqueline and said, we're here for our night that we've paid for, and she says, I can't let you in. You're not coming in. And then they were like, okay, well, can we rebook it? Nope, can't rebook it. Okay, can we get a refund? Nope, no refund. And these guys were like, we've just paid for this, travelled all this way, and you're not even going to let us in.
Exactly. And that wasn't the first time that's happened
No.
with and people should understand, go to the Better Business Bureau, put out complaints about this stuff because you will against eventually get your money back.
Mm,
She took the money, she never provided the service.
yeah.
And from California to Rhode Island, it's quite literally, no exaggeration, across the country.
Yeah.
And so whether it's a flight, it's a long ass flight, but if it's a drive, you're going to be driving for a few days before you get here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, and it's like that there should be a level of, just buyer protection when it comes to that kind of thing. And these people are. I think I spoke to a few people, and they said that Jacqueline's not got a refund policy,
No,
which I mean. I didn't even know that that was legal. I thought that, I mean, in the UK, I don't think you're not allowed to have, yet there is a lot of buyer protection in the UK. I don't know about in the US, but is it similar over there, or is it just kind of down to your duress?
oh no, it's very much similar to that. Like if you're not providing the service that someone paid for, that person has the right to get every single dime and
Yeah.
sometimes more back.
Yeah.
And she's done this with multiple people, and she literally tries to go and point to, hey, our website says no refunds, and I get that. Hey, I booked last night, or I booked for tomorrow. Something happened. I'm not going to make it. I may not get a refund depending upon the
Yeah.
venue I'm booking with. However, if I show up tomorrow night and no one's there to let me in, I want the value for
Yeah.
my money or my money back.
Yeah, that's it, and that's exactly how it is in the UK. And it's, I just find it absolutely crazy that she's getting away with this, and unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening. And then, to kind of turn it on the staff and say it's their fault, for example, and then, like even with yourself, you've like I mean, it's got to be the craziest reason I've ever heard in my life that someone got fired, that you apparently stole $3,000 from a cash box. I've spoken to Satori and Cody, and they said there's CCTV in that room 24/7. If, she can prove if you did or didn't do it, but she's taking the word of someone that died in the 1800s, which to me, it's just like, what?
Well, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes now because it's no longer behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, After I took over the position of vice president, I actually started delving into things vice presidents delve into.
Yeah.
How much is the gift shop making? How much do we need to promote it? Things like that. As I'm doing that, I'm like, Jacqueline, you're not charging 7% state sales tax on these purchases like you're supposed to do. So a $20 cup that we sell as a coffee mug would have $20 plus 7% sales tax that the customer would pay.
Right.
And she ignored that and walked away.
Wow.
About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, after a very busy weekend, I had a bunch of local residents come in and buy different things from the gift shop. Three of them actually said the same thing, like, it's not tax free, is it? Or how come we're not paying sales taxes?
Wow.
Again, I brought it up to her the Monday before I got fired. And I said, we got to look at this. You're bringing in anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a month in gift shop sales alone.
Wow.
And if we're not charging sales tax on that, that's illegal.
Yeah.
She looked at me, silently walked away, which is sometimes her custom. And then that Friday, suddenly, John Arnold says, la, la, la.
I mean, what's your first reaction when you see that text message that she's fired you because of that reason?
You should have seen my face, actually,
I
when
would
she
have
asked.
paid to. I would have paid
I
to.
would have, like, initially it was like, are you joking? And then she's like, puts her hand out like this, and I want you to pay me back now. And that's when I turned around, like, listen, I've put up with a lot of shit with you, but one thing I'm not going to put up with is being accused of being a theft, especially for $3,000, which is not a lot of money to lose someone's lifelong reputation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to go in right now and we're going to play back the videos since May 20th, and you're going to see. I didn't do it. I've got every day right here that I've worked and the times. Let's go look at the video. She got up and walked away, not speaking to me. And I got up and walked around the front of the house because, okay, I am going to go in my car and leave for the day because I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that's when she charged out of the house at me. You get the F off my property. You're trespassing. You're fired. And
Wow.
that's when I'm like, well, since you fired me, fun fact, you owe me $9,000 and you need to pay me before I leave. F you, go figure.
Yeah.
Get off my property. I'm not saying again, you're trespassing. So my last words to her, and I shit you not, like, you're firing me. You're not giving me $9,000. I promise you one thing, Jacqueline. You're gonna learn why I was worth $100,000 a year. And I left.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I don't blame you for responding the way you did. I would be fuming if it were me. But, obviously you've gone down the legal route, rightfully so, because you're not going to get it any other way.
Right.
I mean, how do you explain to a lawyer that you've been fired because a ghost from the 1800s basically stitched you up and dobbed you in it? How do you explain, like, how does this person even explain that?
I'm so glad you said that and asked that question. Before Channel 12 News took the story, I had
Yeah.
spoken to 6 different attorneys, and each one took it as a joke, like I was the problem.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
would all this up, and I got nowhere with them. And
Wow.
then the story hit, and luckily there was someone that had a very similar experience in Rhode Island, and she reached out to me in Facebook Messenger, and gave me the name of the attorney that I actually have now,
Wow.
um, stating how wonderful this person was. And immediately when I talked to this attorney and she got to see all of my receipts, she was on it. And she's, like I said, very aggressive, but she was so empathetic to the situation I was going through. And that made
Fantastic.
a world of difference.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Fantastic. I mean, that's exactly what you want, really, isn't it? That's I mean, I could only imagine, right? Like, I've been pondering it ever since I heard you go into, like, you know, for like legal purposes and whatever. I'm just like, how do you even say that a ghost stitched you up and told someone that you stole three? Like, I can't, I couldn't imagine trying to have that conversation, you know. But
Oh, it was uncomfortable and weird all the
yeah,
way. And so I started prefacing all my conversations with attorneys with, I know how crazy this is going to sound, but I promise you, I've got all of the receipts on it,
yeah.
text, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of text messages, I know that Jason Hawes in particular has been very vocal, and as have you with the messages that you've received. And you know, behind the scenes, she's not. She's even worse with messages. I know you said in your last video that you've stopped receiving them now. Is that right? Because you've had a basically like a cease and desist put in place.
Legit. When we filed the complaint, there were like four different things that we were going for. The very first one, of course, was I need a restraining order, a protection order, because I just don't know about her, but psychologically, she's torturing us.
Mm,
And that was filed. Along with that, the damages for the five counts, five felonious counts of wage theft, because she owes me 5 weeks of pay that she previously moved to do.
mm.
And then on top of that was the continued harassment and everything else that she's doing behind the scenes with I'm destroying your life and the the libel slanderous things she's saying about me currently.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like she's not stopped, and so the text messages have stopped. Is that right?
Yes. The
And
text messages to me have stopped. The day I made that video, I made it because I just got overwhelmed with what I was reading. Corey and Jen Heisen, as well as Kevin Matinick, were getting for messages.
mm,
And I understand why they didn't want to go forward and like, hey, this is what's happening to us. So I felt since already people have been watching and following me that I would try to do that as well.
yeah, that's it. And I mean, what's Corey and Jen's? Obviously, they owned the house. They were the ones that sold it to Jacqueline. I know that they said to Jason on his live stream and stuff that they kind of strong armed, or Jacqueline kind of strong armed the location off them. How are they feeling about that? Like, because they've obviously pumped a lot of effort, time, love into the Conjuring house to make it as reputable as it was. How do they feel about watching their basically their baby going to pot?
Like all of us, it's literally like watching a family member get beat up and tortured.
Mm,
You know, it's painful. And that's the part that I always try to convey is like, we're all in, me in particular, I'm in mourning clearly because I lost my role, my job,
mm,
and where I'm at right now. But on top of that, I'm actually going through a whole grief process with not being able to be at the house, but more importantly, seeing what she's turned it into.
mm.
And so for Corey and Jen, I can't speak for them, but I do know how hurtful it was for them to have to see what's happening to the property and to the house.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine. You know, because like I say, like they were the ones that have kind of built it to where it is today. And
Exactly.
and then in the space of 2 years, Jacqueline's been in charge, and things have just nosedived to the point where, especially in the last month, it's just been chaos. You know, I think chaos is probably the only way that you can probably describe it. You know, but with the text messages that you received, are you able to? I know you're in the midst of legal stuff, so I'm sure there's things that you can and can't share. But are you able to like explain or share any of the recent messages that you received? I know you said that you received basically like death threats from her.
Yeah.
Um,
The last text messages that I got, that what really put me over the top with, we got to do something about the way she's just feeling like she can just reach out, like I'm still working for
mm,
her. And it started off with, Brian, did you steal my sweatshirt? And like I was working there, and I'm like, "Have you seen it? Do you have it? Can you bring it back to me?" And I responded with, "Can you please stop contacting me?" And then it turned into, "You stole my sweatshirt, you tried to poison my animals, and you stole my Quran. And as the Quran says, within 3 months you will be deceased."
Oh
And
my
it went on
god.
this whole other tangent with Corey Jenheisen and everybody else in between, and Jason fucking Hawes. And then it ended with, "I promise you one thing, I will make it my work to destroy your life." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you." And again, he's like, "Again, I'm not saying again, stop texting me." And she stopped once my lawyer actually filed the complaint. But that
Yeah.
was the last time she texted me, and my lawyer filed the complaint within a couple of days after that.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just more evidence to add to the case and to add to the credibility of what's really going on. But, you know,
Kevin Martinek actually got a text this week. One part that I actually can bring up is the fact that in the text she's screaming at Kevin as well as Corey Jenheisen and yelling at them because they didn't tell her that Elizabeth Hurley, the actor from the 90s, is also psychically attacking her. Yeah.
I literally. I don't know what to say to that. Like, that's crazy. So, this whole psychically attacking thing is another thing. Obviously, she accused you of it. It was another reason why you allegedly got fired.
Yep.
You know, and she's accused Jason Hawes of, well, assassination attempts. I spoke to Cody and Satori, and to their knowledge, prior to owning the Conjuring house, she'd never dabbled in the paranormal, ever.
Ever.
So, where's her psychic ability come from? Because that seems to be something new that she's just suddenly managed to get the ability to do.
And it's kind of weird. And I'll tell you that firsthand experience. So I have friends that are psychics. I do tarot readings. I'm not going to claim that I see dead people, but I do get messages in tarot readings. Very different. I've been doing that since I was 8 years old with regular playing cards.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, up until literally May and June, has never really pushed her. I'm a psychic, but it started off with her using dowsing rods wrongly and things like that. We tried to explain to her how to use them, but she knew more than we because she owned the Conjuring house. It's how she would say it to us. "I own the effing Conjuring house. I know how to use dowsing rods." Meanwhile, she's actually holding them and she's doing this with them. I'm like, "Girl, what are you doing?" That's the spirits, the communicating. That's your hand shaking. But what's happened recently, which is also concerning, is some of the newest staff there now, actually on tours and such, are now identifying themselves as psychics as well. People that I've actually hired. So it's like, maybe you buy a ticket to the Conjuring House and bam, you are a psychic.
I. Wow.
I'm not sure, but we can't have that many psychics in the world.
Nah. Like, anyone that steps foot into the Conjuring house suddenly becomes a psychic. That's all it.
Exactly.
That's all it takes these days. That's always something that baffled me because I was like, she's never experienced the paranormal before. She's never really, from what I gather, been interested in it. And then all of a sudden, she's psychic because she owns the Conjuring house and she's being psychically attacked. And it's almost like, I mean, I'm not a psychologist and I can't diagnose anyone because it's not my forte. But it doesn't take it doesn't take someone to trained to say that there's clearly some kind of mental decline taking place here, which of course is such a shame because it's to play devil's advocate, you never want to see anyone in any kind of mental decline. It's such a sad thing to see, but at the same time, when it gets dangerous in the way that it is, where real life people like yourself and Jason are being accused of such heinous crimes that could end you, like put you in prison ultimately. Like if she goes and pushes the narrative hard enough, and like I was saying to when I watched your video before, all it takes is for, I mean, 99.9% of people on the Conjuring House page don't believe what she's spewing. And they're just there to see the craziness unfold. But all it takes is that 0.1%, one person, to say, I really like Jacqueline, I really like the Conjuring House. I don't like the fact that Jason Hawes is trying to attack Jacqueline. I'm going to go and do something about it. And then before you know it, we've got a real problem on our hands with irreversible actions taking place. You know,
And
and
that's true.
and
What you said is absolutely true.
exactly. And the thing is I don't think Jacqueline realizes that ultimately she's a content creator as well, because she's creating content and posting it to Facebook. And, you know, with that comes a level of responsibility and onus that your actions can influence reactions. And it's why, you know, people have to be so careful with how they speak, because, you know, Jacqueline right now could incite someone to do something against yourself, against Jason, against Cody and Satori, against the Heinzens, anybody. You know, it's she's playing a very, very serious game, and I don't think she's realizing the consequences of that game.
And unfortunately, again, from my own experience, it's not even not realizing, because she's a highly intelligent person.
Yeah.
Uh, she just doesn't care, and that's
Wow.
the from the um, whatever might be going on up inside of her head, which is being exacerbated, because I've seen it with alcohol. So we've got this double-edged sword going on, and that was always my concern and Jason's concern as well. Who's to say? Because you see some of the comments, they are very much pro Jacqueline. We got
Mm,
you through this and that stuff, and if she's got support, I applaud that. Great. Maybe you can help get her some help. I know I've tried, but there's also those other 0.1% people, 0.01% people.
mm,
Just take that one person
that's it.
to Google where someone lives and then show up on their property.
That's it. And then, you know, obviously it then becomes a very, very serious topic, and it goes from just chaos online to chaos in real life. And, you know, in real life, actions obviously have some quite severe consequences. If I mean, if someone's willing to turn up to someone's house, then who's to say what they're not willing to do, you know? And that's the terrifying thing. And, you know, this is why I think Jacqueline needs to, I mean, like you say, I believe she trained in law, is that right? So,
She was a practicing lawyer in the early 2000s. She practiced real estate law. She's a trained lawyer, but more importantly, she's got a master's degree also in psychology and counseling. She's got, she is a master manipulator. I've actually, after you leave the house and you will no longer have that haze and those blinders on, you can actually see the reason she holds back people's money is to make them more compliant and complacent. So if you know, like in my situation, I knew that she owed me that before I got fired, 2 weeks of pay, which is $3,600. I'm going to be much more nice, complacent, and politically correct to get what I need.
yeah.
Sometimes that requires walking away when she starts saying some really bad, really weird stuff. Um,
Wow.
but to go back a little bit, this person is a trained attorney. She owns two businesses. The first one, Wonder Group LLC in Rhode Island, she owns like old factories that she made into apartment units, multi-million dollar buildings.
Wow.
And and the thing is, you would think because of that, she'd be really busy. But that was one of the things that really concerned me. From June on, she never put any energy or effort into the other business from what I've seen. It's just been
Wow.
so weird.
Yeah, that is baffling. And you know, this is the thing, is like, she's clearly got a lot of influence because she's got a lot of money, she's got a lot of income streams, and you know, that really can partner that up with what's going on at the moment, and that can become a very dangerous and slippery slope for a lot of people. And you know, with money comes influence and power. And you know, throw enough money at a problem and sometimes it will go away. But obviously in your case, there's a lot of people rooting for you. I mean, I know Jason's really played a good part in really spreading the message, which is fantastic, and you know, really exposing some truths.
And that's why I think too, Jason is so much of a target right now. He started off initially giving a, platform for all the previous co-workers of mine after she started attacking them.
Mm.
That automatically put him as public enemy number one. Her words, not mine. She said that to me when that post came out, and that he was doing a video. That he's fucking public enemy number one, Jason effing Horse. And I would just walk away. After that, when Jason actually took my video and propelled it onto a platform, that's when she really started attacking him.
Mm.
And it's going to continue until an outside agency actually stops her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, it's. I mean, people like yourself and Jason, and everyone else that's kind of spreading this message can kick up and scream as much as they want, but ultimately, we can't physically do anything about it. And
No.
it's not going to be until the powers that be come into play and actually. I mean, you've obviously played the first card with that by getting your lawyers involved, and what do you know, like how long that process can be for you? Obviously, I know you've got a GoFundMe at the moment, which I will leave a link to down in the description to kind of
Awesome.
generate some support. But it's and I know that you can't get other work at the minute either because of the situation that's ongoing. So how long do your lawyers think that your case is going to be?
My lawyer didn't give me a timeline. She's very aggressive, and she actually said, because what happened was, just to start off a little backwards a little bit,
Mm,
after I got fired, there was concern about her situation and all of this good stuff. Me and Cody and Satari actually went to the Barrowsville Police Department because I wanted to get in writing that she's accusing me of this, and clearly I'm innocent of it. While that was happening, there were officials, we'll call them, that were going to the house, police, EMS, and social workers, because they had a court order type thing. I'm not
mm.
going to get into the detail.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
use your imagination. Um, they couldn't gain access to the house, and they asked me to go to the property to try to assist them, which I obviously did because I don't want to see a human being in crisis, and
Mm.
I am concerned for people. And they ended up gaining access. They ended up, Jacqueline actually was transported out, and she was sent home the very next day. And so all of that happening, we tried our best. So it's never been that we wanted to attack her and we wanted to destroy her. We wanted to help her.
Mm.
Um, and it just continued to roll out of control.
Yeah.
Now, with my suit and such, I had to go through the Department of Labor and Training first. I had the investigator call me up at the end of on August 16th to be exact, frustrated and upset, saying, we're going to have to go to a hearing about this. It's going to be about 2.5 years before you get a hearing date because we're still backed up with COVID. And here's the worst part. We feel she knows that, and we feel she tried purposely writing down the clock so you would have to wait 2.5 years. And they asked for my attorney's information so that they could present what they had to her as well.
Wow. Oh my God.
Exactly. So it's not only, like I say, what appears to be clearly, we'll call it what it is, what appears to be a mental health slash chemical issue going on. But along with that, there's this coordinated intelligence of, I'm going to do stuff like this to just make it harder and harder for people to get what they deserve.
God, and that kind of really makes it look like this isn't just she doesn't understand what's going on. Instead, it's very manipulated. It's very coordinated. It's very well, just those two terms I think sum it up best. And it begs the question of, is she like obviously, like I say, I can't say for certain, but it from the outside looking in, it does look like she's losing her marbles a little bit. But it begs the question: is she actually, or is this all being done on purpose? Um,
Exactly.
and
And that's the thing.
that's it. I mean, a lot of one of my favorite like rumors, we'll call it, about this topic is that she's creating a narrative for a new Conjuring movie, which, you know, I mean, she's a businesswoman. It would put the Conjuring house back on the map. Imagine, I mean, it would be a make-up for a fantastic plot. But at the same time, it's like, I think we're out of the realms of that. I think this is more strategic.
Agreed. And I got to be honest with you, now with everything going on, if anyone made any type of production out of it, I know I used the term yesterday, but it would literally be the Tiger King version of a paranormal escapade.
It would. But to be fair,
You know?
I mean, obviously there could be, like, even if she was to go down that route and all the rest of it, I mean, there'll be a clause in there where you guys, like yourself, Jason, if you were like defamed in any way, you could probably sue for a defamation case or whatever. But I mean, you probably still could now. I know Jason definitely's got a strong case for a defamation. You know, being told that he's a trained assassin with a group of assassins under his belt and all the rest of it, and it's just like, where does this narrative even come from?
Exactly. And where and when does it even stop? I
Yeah,
do have that in my lawsuit as well. You know, the defamation and the just aggressive, ruthless, hateful things that she continues to do and say to all of us. It's like she still thinks in some weird little way that we still work for her and we're supposed to tolerate this stuff with our mouth shut.
yeah, and that's the thing, and I think that's what's so dangerous about the whole situation. But I am conscious of time, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So, you know, obviously, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And kind of, is there anything else that we've missed that you want to include, or?
I just want people to understand fully how much behind the scenes that we'll never be going to be able to show, tell, or really prove. There were coordinated efforts for the past 2 years, or we'll say year and a half, to get her someplace for help. And she has been in different places and has received help. It just seems like it doesn't stick. Um,
Yeah,
so it's as sad and horrible as it is to see a person, in my opinion, who might be going through crisis. It's also important to understand that there's been communal outreach to
mm,
try to get this person the assistance that we think she needs.
yeah, and I think that's important to note is that so. You know, thank you again, Brian, for taking the time to chat with me and stuff. And obviously, you know, I do hope that people can support you a little bit more on your journey to trying to fix what is an utterly messed up situation that you should never have tried to fix.
Exactly. And Ben, I thank you for reaching out to me, coming on. It's been great. And like I said, I've been watching you way before all of this stuff happened. So it was really surreal the first time I started seeing me on YouTube and
Yeah,
with a content creators. And you guys have been the unspoken heroes. There's a group of you that have all been consistently putting this material out, and we can't thank you enough for that.
oh well, thank you. I mean, like I say, if only 10 people see it, at least 10 more people see your message, and that's what's important to me. But thank you so much, Brian, and take care of yourself. But I'll definitely message you again, and I'll be in touch with you and stuff
Absolutely. You got my number.
for
Feel
sure.
free.
Take care.
Take care.
See you later. There you go. So, from the horse's mouth, everything that has been going on at the Conjuring house behind the scenes, I was utterly dumbfounded when, you know, just through listening to Brian there. It's utterly horrific the things that he's had to experience, but, you know, it goes so much deeper than most of us even realise. And unfortunately, there's so much that's going on that will never see the light of day, which is such a shame. But what do you guys think of this whole situation? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to jump scare the hell out of that like button. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.